Uh, U.S. District Judge Vaughn Walker wrote in his decision that Prop 8, quote, fails to advance any rational basis. I love that. In singling out gay men and lesbians for denial of a marriage license. Fails to advance any rational basis. Well, yeah, and I'm glad the judge ruled, and I'm not trying to say, oh, well, of course, Judge. I mean, he had to listen to the evidence. Somebody brought the lawsuit. The four folks who brought the lawsuit and said, no, we're not going to be second-class citizens. We will get married. We will have the right to form a marriage contract. If a Baptist church doesn't want to marry us, screw the Baptist church. We don't want to get married there. If a mosque or a temple doesn't want to marry us, screw the mosque and the temple. But you cannot deny us, under the Constitution of the United States, equal protection under the law. He also wrote, the judge wrote, plaintiffs challenge Prop 8 under the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Each challenge is independently meritorious, as Prop 8 both unconstitutionally burdens the exercise of the fundamental right to marry and creates an irrational classification on the basis of sexual orientation. Oh, I love it when he uses the term irrational or fails to advance any rational basis. Of course, people who are religious by definition are not rational. People who are rational by definition cannot be religious. And it's only religious crazy people who brought this Prop 8 to the ballot anyway. And as I think it was Rachel that pointed out, look now for the right-wing vermin that has infested so much of our media to start talking about what one of the comments that the judge said. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but what he said was the fact that 7 million Californians, or whatever the number was, voted to deny rights to people who want to form a contract and happen to be same gender. The fact that 7 million people voted that way is irrelevant. And as Rachel pointed out tonight, why do you think they call them rights? They are not determined by people going to the polls. You know, every time I hear one of these filthy right-wingers point out to moi, when I say we live in a democracy, no, we don't, we live in a republic. All right, you dumbasses, you're right. And part of living in a republic is the protection of the rights of the minority. That's what the minorities. That's what the 14th Amendment is all about. And yet they also now, they being the right-wing crazies, the religious nutballs, are going to challenge us and go for it. Go for it, Jeff. Freaks. Go for it. The Human Rights Campaign, the nation's largest gay rights group, said this, quote, after hearing extensive evidence in support of marriage equality and essentially no defense of the discrimination wrought by Prop 8, Judge Walker reaches the same conclusion we've always known to be true. The Constitution's protections are for all Americans, woo! Including lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. Really? And decades ago, the Constitution was used to prove that even black folks were full citizens and had the same rights. Why are we so ignorant? Why? Why is there such a vein of absolute stupidity embedded in this country? Why? I don't get that. People come here from all over the world for our higher education. So it must be good. But How is it that we are educating or not educating our people to the extent that they don't understand that in the first place, religious freedom does not mean religious tyranny. That's what these crazy Christians and crazy Muslims and I guess some Jews are the same thing. Oh, well, the Bible says. It doesn't matter what the Bible says. The Bible is a mythology. It's a book of superstitions and desert stories and magic. Every society has a Bible. Every religion has a Bible. It is meaningless to the extent that it should dictate whether or not two people of the same gender can form a marriage contract. Why is that so hard to understand? If you want to be a religious crazy, go be one. But why must you foist your craziness off on somebody else, you selfish bastard? If you want to make war in Afghanistan, pick up a weapon and go fight. But why do you vote for people who want to send somebody else's son or daughter there? You selfish bastard. So sick of right-wingers. Oh! Supporters said, back when this passed a couple of years ago, Prop 8 was approved by 52% of the people who got off their asses and went to vote. And that ballot measure followed the state Supreme Court's legalization of same-sex marriage 5 months earlier, when the state Supreme Court said, no, you can't do this. This is a contract. Supporters of this miscegenated piece of legislation, or not legislation, mob rule, supporters said that Prop 8 was necessary to safeguard traditional marriage and to encourage responsible childbearing. Oh, give me a break! What's the divorce rate in this country? Among heteros? Huh? What is it? 1 out of every 2 marriages fail. What about the kids? I know more messed up kids because of divorced heteros. And I also know some pretty solid, interesting, intelligent, well-brought-up children who are being raised by lesbians and gay men. This argument, it's necessary to safeguard traditional marriage. Look, why don't you religious freaks who want to safeguard traditional marriage, why don't you get off your asses and go ahead and try to safeguard it? Only sit down with heteros and do it. Oh, no? Can't do that? It would be infringing on the rights? Infringing on the rights? I just can't believe this. Every night I come in here and sit down to do this program, and I think, Jesus, God, what kind of madness is wafting through the country tonight? We'll be back.